I'm going to be explaining exactly how to handle the what's the price? Just tell me how much it costs. When they're logical and price focused, they're not going to be thinking emotionally of what this means to them and value focused. They're just not, right? It doesn't go hand in hand. As soon as they get that thought of what's the price? What's the price? That's not going to go away. I'm absolutely obsessed over asking the right questions on a call. I don't have the salesy approach that most people do. They knew that we were good at what we did. It would allow them to just sit back and relax and go back to being value focused. We've got 18 pillars, 18 questions we go through on a sales call, which pretty much guarantees success. People will have different ideas, but this is 100% the best way because just logically it makes so much sense, and I've seen it work time after time after time. So when it comes to price, it's always on their mind. So how do we handle this? This is what I did. You simply ask them. Alright guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be explaining exactly how to handle the what's the price? Just tell me how much it costs. Those questions when you're a coach or a service provider and you get those questions from leads, especially during a call, okay? Now, I want to address a few things. I'm going to absolutely nail this video in under 10 minutes. You can put the timer on now. You're going to get all your answers. You're going to be able to handle this in future and you're going to get more sales from this, okay? But the reason for the glasses is the only sunny day we've ever had in Wales this year. So it's literally in March. And I thought, why not crack the shades out? But I'm going to put them off now because we're going to get serious. That's my attempt at a joke.
Stop it. Get some help.
I am funny. Obviously not when I'm just recording on my own. Let's get to it. Okay, so there's two scenarios where this happens. If you just get a DM randomly out of nowhere from someone you've never spoke to, and they just say, how much does coaching cost? What's the price? Literally, that's the first thing they say. Not even, hey, how are you? I'm interested in your coaching. What's the price? Like, what's the price? This is not for those people, right? So when you get those, that's very, very negative. It's not going to be a great opportunity for you. So don't get disheartened when this doesn't turn out your way. It's the rudest way of someone ever inquiring with you anyway, and I wouldn't recommend that you work with those people. They're probably not a good lead for you. So this is not how to handle that. This is how to handle it when you're during a conversation. You could be really deep into already understanding exactly what they want to do, what they want to achieve, their goals, and it's already during the conversation. So it's the right time, it's appropriate time for them to maybe ask, what are the prices of coaching? What's the packages you've got? Which you need to handle it. But that very quickly can switch to them being hyper price focused, extremely price focused. And when they're logical and price focused, they're not going to be thinking emotionally of what this means to them and value focused. They're just not, right? It doesn't go hand in hand. So especially during a call, so not so much a DM conversation, but during a call, this can come up very early in the call. They can say, I can tell you, especially if you're very professional, which is the problem we had. They were like, I've heard how good you are. I know the results you get. I'm just a little bit worried of like, what are the prices? Is it expensive? Like that's the concerns they've got, which is fair enough. Okay. And the answer I want to give you so that you understand this, a quick story or an analogy is if you just imagine, right, that you're absolutely starving, you're thirsty, and you're going into a restaurant because you need food and you need a drink. Let's say you've been on a really long walk on a beach or something, you find a restaurant and you go in, you're dying of thirst and you need food straight away. You're starving, okay? You don't want to go and sit down, even if it's a luxury restaurant and it's going to deliver you great food, great service. You don't want to sit down and look at the menu. If the server goes and says, yep, I understand you really want to drink right now, you really want food, but have a look at the menu. We'll come back in 20 minutes, like 15 minutes. You think about what you want to eat. You'd be fuming, right? You'd be like, I want a drink now. I want food now. I need something now to solve this problem I've got immediately. This is exactly what is going through that person's mind. If at any point during a conversation or even on the call, as soon as they get that thought of, what's the price? What's the price? That's not going to go away. So we do need to handle it. We can't just be ridiculous and just avoid the question completely. We need to tackle it, which is what I'm going to show you how to do. So in that scenario with the restaurant, what do they do? What does a good server do? They simply just give you a glass of water straight away. They sit you down usually. They say, here's the menus. I'm going to get you a glass of water as well. And most of the time, if they're a really high quality restaurant, they'll also just bring you a little bit of bread to the table, right? They'll give you something, because what that does, it just relaxes you. It puts you in this state of complete comfort So you have a little bit of something to nibble, so it just satisfies you a little bit, and you have the drink. You have a drink of water. It won't be a fancy drink. They won't ask you for your actual drink. They won't ask if you want, a glass of wine or a Coke or anything like that. They just want to get you something immediately, so you sit down, you're comfortable, and you can take your time going through the menu. So now you're not ordering then out of total desperation and just picking, whatever is the fastest thing, which in our scenario, it would be whatever's the cheapest thing, because switching it back to fitness coaching, which is what I've come from, PB Academy, we grew it to over 250 plus active clients. I've done it over 10 years. We grew a full coaching team delivering the service, sales system, and separate that, we've got another physical location gym, totally different business. So that's my experience, right? And in doing over 1,000 sales calls in the last 24 months, and literally closing at 89%, which is ridiculous, but we could have priced a lot higher, basically, is why my close rate was so good. So we were selling packages on average between £200 to £300 per month, which to you, it might be expensive, but that's where we were selling. We were a premium service. So that's my experience. And I absolutely obsessed over asking the right questions on a call. I don't have the salesy approach that most people do. I like to just ask the right questions to make sure they see the value. And in doing this is what I came to the conclusion was, right? Is when people, which they would, because like I said, they knew that we were good at what we did. Everyone knows us locally. So when it comes to price, it's always on their mind. So how do we handle this? This is what I did. You simply ask them, you give them a price range, first of all, but you need to give context, okay? So let's say that they say, okay, I love everything you do. I know you're going to get great results, but what are the prices? What packages do you have? And my response would be, we have a range of packages available because we work with lots of different types of people, and they have different goals, they have different levels of support they need, and everything is completely customized to you. So to give you an idea, and this is the little drink of tap water, this is the little nibble that I'm giving them, I would say, it ranges between X, which would be a low tier, the lowest package we've got, and it would be high, the highest tier we've got, the premium package, right? I wouldn't explain what's involved in these services. I would just give a price range. So the low number is there to satisfy them, to make them think, this is definitely affordable, right? It wouldn't be the package I'd sell them most of the time, but it would allow them to just sit back and relax and go back to being value focused. I would be able to switch it back immediately, because what I would say is once I give that range, so it ranges between low tier and high tier, I would then say, I need to understand more about you and exactly what you would need. So do you mind explaining more about whatever part of conversation I was on at that point when they asked the question? So if it's very early on, it would still be about their goals. It would still be about understanding where they are right now. If it was further on, it could be more understanding about their problems, what they've tried in the past, what they've struggled with. It depends on what point you're at, and if you know me already, if you've watched my content, you know we've got 18 pillars, 18 questions we go through on a sales call, which pretty much guarantees success, pre-handles all objections. So if you ever get stuck on this point again, you do have to give something, just like in that restaurant analogy, you do have to give away a price range, right? You have to give the tap water, you have to give a little bit of a nibble to just satisfy them, make them feel comfortable and make them feel heard, not feel like they're just being pushed around, holding the price back on purpose, to have this salesy approach where you just slam home the price right at the end and just objection handle until you force them to work with you. That is not the approach you want. You want them to truly see the value, but the only way you do that is get rid of this itch they've got to scratch, which is asking what the price is, give them a range, and then move them back from price focused to value focused. So that's the goal with this, and yeah, you can do it. I'm not going to ramble on for the sake of rambling on, but that is how you handle what is the price. Okay, so if you are trying to grow a service-based business, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Yeah, everything I'm trying to do now is to just make everything easy and understandable based on everything I've learned over the last couple of years through growing PB Academy Online, which is an online coaching business. So yeah, I hope you like this content. I hope this helped. I hope you generally can handle this now going forward, because you will definitely have had this before, and you might not know what the best thing to do is. People will have different ideas, but this is 100% the best way, because just logically it makes so much sense, and I've seen it work time after time after time, and people just need to scratch that itch. They don't even care too much. They generally don't. They just need to ask the question, and then it satisfies the craving. You can move back to value focus. So yeah, subscribe, and I will see you soon.